Hi everybody, today is the 12th of the 11th and I just wanted to do a brief introduction to a session that I wanted to share that I had myself with a lovely lady named Majda from Conciousevolution. She is French speaking, but she also speaks really good English, and she facilitated a session for me. I had been experiencing in my life lots of people leaving like repeatedly, and when you have a repeating cycle and it's affecting you emotionally, then oftentimes it's a lesson to learn in life. And I knew that, and I'd kind of acknowledged that already, but the penny wasn't quite dropping with me what the purpose of that was, what I was supposed to be learning. So that was the reason that I asked to have the session. It was twofold, really. The other reason was that I'd been told in meditation that I'd been present during the future cycle of Earth. So I was told there was a future cycle of Earth, and the name of Earth within that cycle was Tiamat. So it was a future higher dimensional version of Earth, and I was led to believe that somehow I was part of the explosion and the ending of that cycle. That planet actually exploded, and all of the souls that were on that planet were lost within time and space. And I'd been told that there were fractals of my soul, and all the people, obviously every single soul that was on that planet also was lost within time and space at that point in time, because it was such a huge and monumental explosion, and the shock of that occurring had caused those souls to be lost and not go back to source. So I wanted to investigate that further, because I wanted to understand what had happened and what my role within that was. And also I wanted to get resolution on the first thing that I mentioned with regard to people leaving within my life. So I'd sort of booked a session with Majda. I'd also booked a session with my friend Leeowen, so that we'd looked into it from two different angles. So first of all, I'd kind of navigated through the people leaving part with Leeowen. So what we've done with him, he does like an hour session. So we sit face to face, and then we just go down into your subconscious mind and down into your heart. And then you pull out any issues that need resolving. And the first thing that I pulled out was it was abandonment. So it was the issue of abandonment, and he took me to the root of that, which was I'd been taken back to the very first physical incarnation that I had ever, which was on Jupiter. And I'd chosen to come down and help the souls on that planet. They were sort of trapped. The planet had kind of died. It was a moon of Jupiter, not Jupiter itself. And the surface of the planet was really inhospitable. And I'd gone out onto the surface of the planet to try and retrieve someone that had gone missing. And whilst looking for them, I died. And it was kind of the feeling of abandonment, because I'd been trying to find somebody, and I'd been unsuccessful, but I'd also been taken away from the person that was inside the planet that I was in love with. So that separation from them, it just left me with this issue of abandonment, sort of the fear of losing people, I guess. And I'd come back in, obviously, because that was the very first physical incarnation I'd ever had. I'd come back in every single lifetime, I'd brought that back to be resolved. So every single physical lifetime that I'd had after that, it had been one of the lessons that I brought back in with me. And somehow I'd never managed to resolve that, never managed to fully master that element. And once that penny had dropped, it was so obvious to me. So it was like all these people leaving, I was sort of blaming myself. And it's just complete lack of forgiveness for myself from that very first incarnation. So once that penny had dropped, suddenly everything made sense. And I stopped blaming myself, stopped feeling sad about the people going, and just kind of accepted it all for what it was, really. So I think once we see it from that bigger perspective, that's all a part of healing. It's like healing these emotional wounds that we can have. And that's just such a minor one, really. But it affected me really deeply for my whole life. I'd never really felt like I'd fitted in. I'd never really felt like I belonged. And all of that's gone now. I've kind of accepted so many different elements and aspects of my life now, and I've sort of found peace with it all. So it's really, really helpful. These modalities can be really, really helpful with finding the seed point, the root point of any trauma that you've got. Because once you understand that from a bigger perspective, it just brings you renewed peace within your here and now time and space. Because everything that's happening within your life is here to teach you self-mastery, basically. So once you've mastered these elements, then you get to be more balanced, more centered, and find your own inner peace to a greater degree. Anyway, so that was the first part of the session that I had with him. But then I came back and I retrieved the soul fractals from Tiamat. I'd done that within meditation. I did that also with Leeowen. And then after I'd done all of that, I had the session with Majda, where we actually went to Tiamat. We saw Tiamat, we saw the lifetime in Tiamat. And it was really fascinating because what I've always sort of understood for quite a while now, when I first had my spiritual awakening, was that we had chosen, the earth had put out a clarion call. That's what I'd heard. So the earth put out a call. She called for help. She called souls for help. She sort of needed help to help with the ascension of earth. And it hadn't really dawned on me until I had this session why that was. So what happened was we evolved as a race, as a planet. We evolved. The Earth became Tiamat. So that was the 7th cycle, I believe, of Earth was Tiamat. That was the name of Earth within that cycle. And it was a 5th dimensional Earth reality. It was a crystalline planet. And through exactly the same sort of reasons, really, why we're struggling on the planet at the moment, through sort of dark agendas, hidden things, the planet had exploded, and you'll hear about that within the session. But what happened was, at that point, when we realized that, obviously there is no time in the quantum field. So as souls, we put out the call, Earth put out a call for help. So coming back to the very beginning of the cycle, we sort of tried to fix that by correcting the direction that we went as a race, I guess, as the planet herself. So we chose as a race, and the planet herself chose as a race, to kind of almost create what we've done is we're creating an ascension timeline, which is separate from the timeline, which was more sort of along the same lines as Atlantis. So we've diverged now. We've diverged into a new timeline. By creating this new timeline, we kind of saved the Earth, I guess. We created a timeline where the Earth did not end, where all humanity did not end. So we saved humanity, we saved the Earth, and that's what we're doing here now, I believe. That's why we're here ascending. That's why we're here as part of this ascension process. And some really fascinating information has been coming forward within my sessions and other people's sessions, on what that ascension process is all about, and how it isn't just another cycle of Earth, because I believe that there have been 7 cycles of Earth, all very similar. Each one of them was the 126,000 year cycle, a really long cycle. So it started at a very basic fundamental level, and it evolved up and up and up and up and out and out and out until the point where it got very highly evolved. The people were very spiritually evolved, technologically evolved. We had off-world contact, and then at that point, the darkness took over, and bad mistakes were made, and the planet kind of imploded on itself. The planet kind of ejected all those people, kind of ended everything, just finished the cycle because it wasn't successful. So we didn't manage to ascend out in any of those, and that was more to do with sort of infiltration, dark infiltration, AI, negative alien agendas, all sorts of things, all sorts of reasons. But the very, very last one, ending badly in Tiamat, that's where we've come to rescue those souls that were lost all through time and space, and to create this new timeline, which is the ascension of Earth, which is where we are now, and which is what we're doing here. So I just found it really, really interesting. It just put a lot of things into perspective for me. So I just thought I would share the session. I've edited it down. I've cut out lots of gaps within the session, but I've sort of left pretty much the bare bones of what was there, just explaining what Tiamat was like, and how it ended, and what the ascension is like. Just a few more details on the ascension. So I'll stop waffling anyway, and I'll let you enjoy the session. So I just wanted to give that introduction because I thought it was important. And if anyone would like their own session, please do get in touch, because I offer and facilitate hypnosis sessions where we can look for the root cause of any issues that you may have in your life, any health issues, which generally are based on emotional emotional reasons. There'll be an emotional basis. It could be this life or past life. It could be emotional healing that needs to be done, because pretty much every single physical ailment will have its root cause within. It will manifest from an emotional response. So that can cause entity attachments. We can remove entities within sessions. We can remove trapped emotions within the body from this life, past lifetimes. And there's so many things that we may need to resolve, but we can start to look for the roots of all of these issues within hypnosis. And it's always guided by the higher self, and your higher self will take you to where you need to go. So if you'd like a session, please get in touch. I've got a website. It gives further details, and each and every session is always completely unique and always fascinating. So please do get in touch, and I'm just sending lots of love to everybody and hoping that you're on your best and highest timeline and everything's going well for you. Okay, lots of love. Bye. It felt like sort of a crystalline city. It's quite pink colours. It's quite pink. Like the sky looks quite pink and pinky, purpley, blue, sort of very pinky looking. So it looks like a crystalline, sort of almost like it's sort of quite organic material, sort of almost like glass, but not. So that's the sort of place that I feel like I am. So it's kind of almost like stalactites, sort of have the structure of like towers, but sort of like organic shapes. It looks like upside down icicles, that sort of thing, but it's sort of pink, got a pinky tinge to it, pinky, purpley blues.
Where does the pink, purpley, blue light seems to be coming from?
Yeah, it just feels like everything's a similar sort of colour. The sky is that colour, and it's reflected down into all the buildings and the structures, the landscape. It's all got the same sort of tones of colour to it. I feel like I've been here before as well. I feel like I've seen this place before. I'm trying to remember where, why.
Are there any people as well?
Yeah, I feel like the structures are all are sort of houses. There are lots of people. They all seem to be, yeah, it feels like a community of people that all live here. It does feel inhabited.
What is the colour of the skin? Do they look human or else?
I get the impression that there's sort of maybe unicorns nearby. I just don't know why I was thinking of unicorns. It feels like there's unicorns here. It's like unicorns are part of this place. People, what are people like? I feel like they've got long hair. They're quite tall. They've got long gowns on. I feel like they've got long hair. Sort of quite tall. I think they are humanoid. Yeah, they're humans.
What are they wearing? What type of clothes?
I just seen a person that sort of looked like a female that had sort of blonde hair, long blonde hair, felt like plaits maybe, plaited hair, maybe sort of twisted up into plaits on top, twisted up. A bit like in Star Wars, Leia with the plaits like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was me. I felt like I was wearing trousers when they said that. I felt more practical rather than a long dress type thing. So I felt like I was wearing a trouser suit. I felt like very similar to Leia from Star Wars. It felt like that sort of energy, but more blonde, the hair paler.
What is she doing, or what are you doing in this scene?
I feel like I'm doing something. I'm focusing on something. I feel like I'm almost maybe like in a laboratory. So it feels like sort of glass test tubes. I'm busy. I've got my head down. I'm looking down. Like I'm busy focusing on stuff, on something.
Something intellectual or physical?
It feels like both. It feels like scientist. So doing sort of like creating solutions, maybe just looking for solutions to things, just looking for just science, looking for answers and just experimenting. It feels like a very light and nice place. It does feel very lovely. It feels warm and feels like a nice environment. Yeah, it just feels like a very lovely, calm place. It feels like there are unicorns here as well. It feels like they can fly. The unicorn energy is very strong here.
Does that energy have a link with you?
It's just doing spirit guide. Maybe here has a spirit guide now. No, hearing yes.
Is there one, maybe one of them, not too far from you? If you look around, if you search for it.
Yeah, so it's outside, not far away. Not inside the building, but outside the building, not far away. You can hear its feet. It almost does feel like glass. It's very crystal, like crystalline. It's almost like quartz or quartz crystal that the actual buildings are made out of, the structures are made out of. Just like a glass city. But the unicorn does feel like it sort of stays nearby. That we can ride together, so it feels like it sort of takes me and we can ride together if we wanted to.
Does it feel like it's yours, actually?
I feel like there's a strong connection between the two of us, yeah. Maybe not mine is sort of independent, its own, but it feels like we're connected. I feel like my hair can come down. It's very, very long and very blonde. It's sort of, when it's not tied up in plaits, it can come down. It's almost down to my ankles. It feels very long hair. That's why it's all tied up in these plaits to keep it out of the way. And then I was seeing it getting dark. So it does get dark. There are stars. Stars are part of the, sort of looking at the stars, part of the science. We're sort of looking, we're sort of connected to the stars. We're sort of researching the starlight as well. Somehow it's part of our experiments.
Is that what you work with?
Yes, part of what we're looking at will be the energy from the stars, or traveling to and from the stars, sort of, so that we can travel via the stream of light almost. Part of what we're looking into, evolving different ways of travel, maybe. We can travel between dimensions, like we're not just here. We can go to other places, the beings can come here as well. There could be lots of different types of beings here. So like with Star Wars, where there's lots of different types of beings, I got the sort of feeling that there were different beings that would come and go. So I've seen one of those sort of interdimensional meeting places, cafe type places, where they weren't sort of native to here, but they could come in and out. But they're sort of more isolated in that building. They're not part of this community and these crystal cities. They don't live here. These are very much just the people that are here. They're like me, but the other people can come and go, but they stay in this other place. They don't sort of mix more into this community. I don't feel like the community is more just these people that have always been here.
Is there any members of your own family in this community? Or is it just you?
Yeah, I feel like there is. I feel like I can hear myself laughing with people. It feels like sort of other women, sort of some similar age, and they look similar to me. I just feel like we're holding arms and walking along together and laughing. It feels like we're sort of similar age to me. And they look the same sort of as me, almost like sisters.
Do you feel solidarity?
Yeah. I just felt like we're sort of like almost like sisters. Maybe not biological sisters, but we felt like that sister energy.
Very close.
So I think that we were on this planet together. I think it might be Tiamat. It might be like a future version of Earth. It's like we were there together. We were like sisters energy on that planet. So we had that lifetime where we were very close there. Like I feel like we were just sort of whispering to each other and laughing and holding arms together, walking along together. It feels like we're very close there. We're guardians of the interdimensional communication system. So we're to do with travel through the star systems. So I was just seeing shooting light. It's almost like a ship that can travel very fast. I think it takes a lot of energy. It almost feels like it needs power to do that. So it's like hydrogen power. So that's what we were looking in science laboratory in the test tubes and things. It looks like smoke. It looks like sort of pure liquid, but it's sort of, like dry ice. It looks like that sort of vapor, sort of cold, something very cold that sort of just turns to clouds of smoke, like dry ice. It's that sort of stuff, but very cold. It creates, it's like a fuel, I guess, sort of provide or make that type of fuel. It's sort of like rocket fuel, but it's not a fuel. It's not like petrol that we use. That's what we work to make or to find out about. I think it's benign, or at least we think it is benign. It's not dangerous. It's almost like there's a spark, a seed point, but then sort of seeing a golden seed in the middle of it sort of activates somehow. I was just sort of hearing rocket fuel, so it's like it must be for fueling ships to to help them to travel like interdimensionally very quickly.
Who needs that to travel interdimensionally? Is it everyone who can do that on this planet?
Yeah, we just can travel between this planet and other planets. So sort of space travel, people that want to explore and go, sort of trading, I think, with other planets, trading items and things. They might come and they'll bring things and they'll maybe trade for things that we have, exchanging items or ideas. Or I don't feel like a lot of the other planets have got such a high vibrational energy as this one. It feels like quite a pure place. We maybe don't really encourage the people to come out of their pod. We don't really want them to integrate with our society. We sort of like to keep them separate because it's quite calm here, and we don't want that don't want that to change.
Why is that?
Just from other beings, from other planets. We don't necessarily want them to stop and to sort of become part of our world because it's quite pure, and we don't necessarily want them to bring that energy in here. So we don't mind them coming and staying and just bringing things and trading, but then we don't really want them to stop. Yeah, I don't think they've got like such pure energy, a lot of these beings that come. I was just seeing me laughing with that other lady again, so just like walking along, just feeling like we were very close. I feel like we're the same sort of age as well. Maybe we were sisters. It feels like we're sisters. I don't know if there's any more to say. I'm not sure if we both do the same job. I think she might be a little bit younger than me, so she might still be at school maybe. So she's sort of still learning. She's still got books. Yeah, so I feel a bit older, like I've just come out of like my end studies. So I was studying sort of like in university or whatever they have there, and then came to this place to do this sort of science work. I feel like she's maybe still studying in the libraries and things. She's still sort of learning, but she sort of wants to be doing similar stuff to me. We see each other outside of work and school, so we just walk along.
Do you teach her as well?
Yeah, I was hearing yes. So she sort of wants to do what I'm doing, I think. Yeah, she sort of looks like she's got darker hair. Like she's dark in this lifetime, but she looks like she's got darker hair there. But she's slightly younger than me. She feels like she does feel like a teenager.
Are you ready to move to another day in this same lifetime that we are watching?
I feel like every now and again I'll sort of get a sense of her in the background somewhere. She feels like she's got quite a darker energy, just a bit darker. I'm trying to figure out what relationship we had with her in that realm or that lifetime. Feels like she's
Sorry, who?
Yeah, the lady that was the one that did the modality, because I felt like she was part of this too. So I feel like she's do you know what she is? Whether she's a teacher or like the person that's in charge, or she feels like she's got quite a black energy in this place. Got dark energy.
The same type of energy you sensed about her in this lifetime here?
Yeah, a bit. I mean, I didn't really realise until a lot later, but
yes, but you did feel it, yeah.
What's she doing? I'm not sure what her role is here, what she is. I was wondering if she was our mother, but she could be our mother, maybe. I'm hearing yes. Yeah, I feel like maybe she's our mother, but I'm sort of feeling like she's up on top somehow, or maybe part of the school as well, sort of to do with the upper sort of senior part of the teaching. I'm hearing yes. She's our mother, but she's also like one of the head people that teaches everyone. So she's one of the high up people. If there was sort of any sort of hierarchy, but she's definitely got a very dark energy. So everything about this place felt really light except for her. She just feels black and dark, strangely.
How do you feel your relationship was together in that lifetime?
It just feels very stormy. She feels quite cold, and she doesn't feel like she's got much time, and she feels like she's swishing past, and she's got a very cold face, not no smiles or happy expression, just quite detached and busy. She's busy. She's too busy to stop. She hasn't got anything to say. She just swish, off she goes with her long skirt. She doesn't want to stop and talk.
Is she career oriented a lot?
Is she what, sorry?
Career oriented. Really want to focus on her work and what she has to deliver and grow for herself.
feels very busy, too busy to stop and chat. She's not, she doesn't feel very friendly.
Is there anything else to understand?
No, I'm just sort of seeing a triangle. So it's like there's three of us. So somehow we sort of in this triangle energy. So we're all interconnected.
Is it possible a triangle represent each one of you?
Yeah, so I'm just seeing myself in that laboratory. So it's disconnected from the school. So she's up there in the school and then feels like she can get through to me. So maybe influence what I'm doing or somehow get access to the knowledge that I'm using and maybe sharing it with people that have not got benevolent intent or their use for it. So I feel like I've quite innocently created this. It's like there's a little golden seed in it. So you almost like you put it into like a canister and then it fills it with this white smoke. It's sort of like cold, dry ice type stuff.
What is its purpose?
I think it's just a fuel. It's like rocket fuel. So it just creates rocket fuel. So it just fuels these ships so they can just go from one dimension into another. So within seconds you'd be and you'd be gone. You'd be in another place. So it just creates this ability to travel. But I feel like it can also be used for dark intentions. It can have a darker underhand use that we were not really aware of. So I don't know what they would use that for. It was like somewhere under the ground. So it's like mining or opening up and inside, sort of creating feels like they're doing something secret under the ground. So inside where nobody maybe can see. The outside is all quite light and bright and pure, but it's kind of there's some dark stuff going on underneath, inside the core of the planet.
Do you want to investigate this?
Yes, I feel like some of the darker beings that come onto our planet that come for trading, I feel like some of these are in there under the earth. So they weren't supposed to be here and they weren't supposed to have stopped. They're not supposed to, well, they weren't sort of given permission to stay, but it's almost like they like it, they like the place, so they're hiding inside the planet so that no one's aware that they're actually here. And they're kind of doing trading still, but they're kind of keeping discreetly out of the way so no one knows they're there. And I feel like they're taking advantage of the resources or whatever it is that the planet has to offer. They sort of want it for their own, but they're being a bit underhand about it because they know that we didn't really give our consent to sharing this place with them. So that's how they're sort of sneakily, but it's almost like our mother, that lady, sort of knows that they're there and she's trading with them under the earth. She's sort of swapping things. I don't know why she would do that.
Do you feel like you are in the future or in the past? Because this sounds very familiar to also what is going on now.
Yeah, it does. It's just another cycle of the same thing, isn't it? It's crazy. It feels like the future. It feels like the next version. But I don't like to think of it as being the future because I like to think that we learn our lesson and it never repeats itself. I don't want these things to happen again. But I guess there is no real future and past, is there? It's kind of
that is an option.
Yeah.
Of what is possible depending on the choices the collective makes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess if this is something that's written in history, then it's already occurred, hasn't it?
Well, past and future don't exist, so I believe it may be one of the options going on now, even in another reality, where the choices were already made.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit complicated for the human brain.
It definitely is. It's like we knew that this happened, so it's like whatever was happening under the earth, and they misused this sort of technology, was what caused like the cataclysm, the destruction. I feel like it did like explode. All of the just shut out. To see it shooting out all the beautiful brightness that was on the outside. All of the souls were lost. So I guess I was responsible in a way because I created this stuff, whatever it was, which was capable of destroying the planet that we were on. But I don't think I obviously intended for that to happen. Probably nobody did. And even though that she was trading with these beings and being a bit underhand, it was probably unlikely that she intended for this to happen.
What was she trading?
Stuff that I was making, the fuel, she was giving it to them.
Yes, right. Sorry.
They were sort of almost like they were using it to mine, to sort of create space underground so they could be hidden, but they would have a big space inside the earth so that they were not detected, so they didn't have to be on the outside. But
what did they give her in exchange?
I just had power. It's almost like, I don't know how they would be able to give her power or responsibility, but
From an energy perspective?
Her position, it was almost like her position was somehow they were able to give her a higher position or to, I don't know how, if they were hiding, they would be able to influence that really. Just felt like power and notoriety and sort of being looked up to, that sort of energy of keeping her position.
Can this have some kind of connection with who she is in the current lifetime where we are, you and I?
I feel like she's still sort of working through that, so that karmic thing. So obviously she's got a modality now and she's quite famous and that's really important to her. So I feel like she's sort of come back again she's got the same choice, sort of, will she go with her heart and her soul and her kindness, or will her desire for notoriety and being important have the sort of, will she choose that as her, will she let everything else sort of, will she be willing to do anything that it takes to hold on to that sort of position, or will she learn her lesson and go with her heart and sort of learn to love people and to trust people rather than to stamp on them and just for her own betterment, to just using people basically just to rise herself up to the top. It feels like she's doing that again, but she needs to learn. She should have learned that. Well, she came back to learn that lesson, so she's not maybe doing so good yet, but she's still got the opportunity to, because there's always endless time, isn't there?
Yeah.
Endless time to
keep on repeating until we finally get it eventually.
Yeah. Don't know if she necessarily will in this lifetime, but she'll be given another opportunity if she doesn't do it now. But it's not over yet, so yeah, and so even if she doesn't, then she's performing sort of an important role for other people. So she's giving other people an opportunity to learn. It's all sort of agreed before we come, isn't it? So she would have helped me to sort of learn my lessons, and many other people. She's giving them all the opportunity to learn what they wanted to come here to learn. So whatever role she's fulfilling is sort of, it's beneficial for many people, even though it might seem negative and not very nice. She's still fulfilling a role. So it's agreed.
As a teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's agreed upon. So it's
not the role beyond the role.
Yeah.
The teacher beyond the teacher.
Exactly. So we wouldn't have learned so quickly without people fulfilling those roles for us. So it was much longer. We can learn more quickly with this contrast and this duality. So it's much more obvious to see. Sometimes if things are too subtle, then we don't sort of don't learn so quickly. So it just makes it much more obvious and black and white, and the two sides. We need to be grateful in a way for those lessons and the opportunity to grow from those experiences. I don't know why they're showing me her hair, so sort of darker colourings, whereas I was white colouring. I don't know why that's relevant, but I had blonde hair and looked paler. So they had black hair and I had white hair. I'm not sure why. It was like those two were more similar to one another. But maybe in that lifetime they were closer. So perhaps more aware of what she was doing, I think maybe. And I maybe wasn't. Maybe that's what they're trying to show me. So I think that my younger sister was sort of aware and she sort of knew, and she maybe sort of just didn't share that with me, potentially. She was sort of in the middle. I think you feel like that's right. So she was more like a go-between. So she was very close to me and she used that to get the stuff to then take it. So she sort of almost was a bit underhand. So she was, so it was, yeah, so she was the one that did it, but she didn't tell me. So she just pretended to be very close to me so that she could get that stuff to then pass along, I think. So she was being a bit mean. I don't think I was really aware of it. So even though it was me that caused it, it wasn't me that sort of intentionally caused it. So I didn't morally do anything wrong on purpose, if you see what I mean. I wasn't being mean.
We've all have experienced everything, being good and being difficult and being tough.
Yeah, but I guess that would have caused a lot of trauma, wouldn't it, with that planet exploding? When it exploded, it was quite, it's not often that's happened to planets. I mean, I guess it's happened many times, hasn't it? It happened to Lyra. There was a planet in the Lyra that exploded as well. So I guess we've experienced that happening, that ending of planets quite often as well. It must be quite traumatic though. I think all the souls that were lost, we've been working to help them.
So you feel that was in the past then, our human past?
No, it was the future, but we can help the future as well as the past. It's not, we're not limited to the influence that we can have, I don't think. We can retrieve soul fractals quantumly through different means.
Let's travel back to the last day of the lifetime that you are in to see if there is anything you need to understand specifically from this lifetime or retrieve maybe.
I feel like I was just working in the laboratory and I feel like it was just a massive bright light. It just felt like it was just an explosion, but everything just went white like it would if you had like if you're in the middle of a nuclear explosion, it would just be blindingly bright. So you couldn't really see. And then everything just went black. So it was just like a void.
So did it destroy the whole planet or just a part of it?
I think it just created a void space. Lots of the souls just got sucked just got lost in the void. It's just like everything's quite muffled afterwards. It felt quite like there was just nothing.
What about your own soul? Was it stuck in the void too?
I feel like it was such a powerful explosion that it did just fractalize many souls. So they were almost lost through time and space, almost like suspended, just floating. It was very quiet. It's almost like just no sound, nothing, just floating in a void. Yeah, it feels like being stuck in a void almost. Very quiet, very calm, not anything horrible.
Do you feel that aspect of yourself stayed stuck in the void?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think it was somehow connected to the unicorn energy. So I think I was stuck, but I was sort of I was just worried what had happened to that energy, the unicorn, because I think we were really close. I think I just stayed there because I was almost sort of telepathically trying to connect to see where that sort of soul went. Just trying to find that soul, just in the void, but trying to connect my mind to the mind of the unicorn energy. So I don't know who that unicorn was.
Could it be that one of those unicorns could be one of your children?
I'm hearing, yeah. I feel like it's somebody that I know in Northumberland. But I don't know why they said it was my children. Maybe it's almost like that unicorn sort of felt like a child energy. So I guess if you've got a pet, it sort of feels like one of your children sometimes, doesn't it?
The way you care for them can be
similar. Yeah, I felt like our souls were quite strongly connected. So I think I've had quite a lot of lifetimes as well. So I felt like unconditional love. Maybe that separation. Yeah, because we've had other lifetimes where we've been together and we've been separated in similar ways. I think it's just happened quite a lot in quite a few lifetimes. That sort of separation is quite strong in many lifetimes.
Are you ready to look into the purpose of the whole lifetime and the lessons that were learned?
I was just hearing distraction. So I feel like I was so focused on the work that I was doing that I wasn't really seeing all of the other stuff that was going on in the background with the people and what they were doing. I was sort of like just zoned out to it all. Sort of a lesson in being more aware of the people around me, being more aware of their emotions and what they were doing, and being more connected to them, so that I could. Yeah, it was just that was the lesson to not. I was just ignoring everything that was going on around me. I was just totally focused on
work.
insular stuff. Yeah. If I'd been more aware, then I guess it wouldn't have happened. I was just ignoring my feelings of things not being right. Just not trusting my gut instincts and not listening to my intuition. I think when my intuition was telling me that things were not quite right, I was just ignoring it, hoping that it would go away if I just didn't think about it. But I suppose that's similar to this lifetime as well. We've just sort of got to go with our gut feeling. It's sort of learning to strengthen that connection to our intuition and to trust our intuition again. I think that was why it sort of undermined confidence in that lifetime. I didn't properly go with my gut, and I wasn't. So it's sort of it was a bit of a shock when it happened. It's a huge shock that left me thinking, why didn't I see that? Why was my intuition not good enough? Which has left me sort of with self-doubt in this lifetime. So it's just doubting the doubt, just that doubt, brought that doubt through from that lifetime. So it's learning to overcome that and to trust. We went there to resolve karma, but it was unsuccessful, which is why we've come back now to do this again. It's a lot just to do with trust. That's what I felt like, trust. People not trusting each other, or not trusting themselves. It's all different lessons in trust. So like Tiamat as our future selves. It's just another variation of Earth, just another cycle of Earth. Earth's moved through many, many cycles, and a lot of them have been higher dimensional, but this is the lower realms, and we will. Even when you're in the higher realms, so we want to evolve, and we want to become, we're sort of waiting to become part of this fifth dimensional energy that everybody keeps talking about. So we aspire to be in a higher realm and a higher realm and a higher realm. We want to expand out, but it's just to sort of illustrate that even within those higher realms, these same cycles can continue, these same relationships, it's possible even within those higher realms to have these same patterns, these same cycles, and these same karmic sort of relationships with people. So what you're aspiring to isn't necessarily sort of, you're aspiring to something, imagining that none of this will exist anymore. But where you're going to, you're not going to negate all of these things. It's not going to suddenly disappear. To know that you're just as capable now of making these wise choices as you would be in a fifth dimensional reality. And part of ascending is not experiencing life within a higher dimension, but it's the ascension process is leaving all of those types of experiences behind, and then traveling out and seeing the bigger picture from above all of that. So when we have the opportunity to rise up, then it's not going to just be the new Earth, or because the new Earth has been many, many cycles of Earth. So it's ultimately where we're heading to is more than the new Earth. The new Earth is another cycle, another cycle, another cycle. And all of these cycles have been very similar, just a slightly expanded version, just more lessons on different levels, but all very similar, just slightly expanded.
It's about acceptance.
Yeah, it's just different. Same characters, the same soul family almost. It's like the same people. So in the different layers, the different levels, and all of the same things are continuing to occur. But ultimately, we will exit this experience. all of these experiences. It's been so many layers, so many lessons, so many layers, so many lessons. So we're not here to just pass on to the next version of Earth, the next best version of Earth. We're here to exit the whole experiment. And even though this is one of the lowest, densest versions that Earth's experienced, we're capable of exiting at this point as souls. So that is what the agreement was, to go through this very dark, dense, very intense, emotional time to allow our souls the opportunity to expand out. We will be leaving, and it'll be a very different experience after that. Just as there are many different versions of Earth and different experiences that you've had, there's many different places, and that's why you're feeling sort of slightly muddled. It's almost like all of these choices that you could make are all experiences that you're having on different timelines. So you've imagined so many different things that you've created, all these different timelines, and you can just choose one to consciously be within, and no one of them will ever be sort of superior or better than another. They're all just as valid and important. So just choose what you really want to do with your heart for now. You don't choose what you feel like you should want. Choose what you do want, what you actually want. So don't feel like you should want to do this or you should want to do that. There's nothing is permanent, so it's just go with your heart. The confusion is part of, like we were saying, just sort of tuning in with your heart and knowing if it feels right, and if it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. But
what can she know about her role in Tiamat and the destruction that has occurred?
You've been shown like the relationship between the three of you. You knew that it was the three of you, but you've seen sort of your part in that. I felt it was my fault. I think I was carrying the guilt of that, but I've realised that it wasn't an intentional thing that I did. So I need to forgive myself for whatever role that I did play in that, even though what I was doing maybe sort of was a big contributing factor to it, and the technology that we created may have been the cause of the destruction. It wasn't an intentional, unkind thing that happened. It was just an oversight, and it's all part of God's creation. So it's not that, yes, it was traumatic for many souls, but it was possible, and everything that's possible has happened in creation. So it's just all part of the big experiment that we all came here to experience. Yeah, it was just another experience, and it's not something that you need to hold on to any guilt for. All of these things, really, just to forgive yourself and to love yourself, and to know that you don't need to be constantly judging yourself so harshly. And sort of forgiving of self for that will allow you to forgive yourself more in your current timeline as well, as parallel. So it's just releasing and letting go of all of that guilt. You've sort of been harbouring like guilt and not loving yourself in this lifetime as well, but you can release that in both now. It's like parallel, so allowing you to do that in both this and there, here and there. You don't need to hold on to the stress and the anxiety from that. It's like you were feeling stress and anxiety, but it wasn't actually about here, it was more about there. So that's how it bleeds through from one to another. So it's like that can, so when you're feeling these strange things, sometimes it is parallel realities that you're picking up on.
Yeah.
Are ready to come to be resolved. Sort of resolving things on so many different levels now. And the fact that we're aware of these different timelines is giving us all of these opportunities to aid other aspects of ourselves, to heal from situations and things that have happened. We are collapsing down timelines. We're collapsing down timelines. Everything's merging into one. We're sort of coming into one as we're sort of approaching this ascension and the ending of all these cycles of all these earths. They're all coming together and folding down onto one another almost. They're sort of becoming one. As a soul, we're becoming more complete with all of the other aspects of ourselves.
Yes, that makes sense.